Those copper-forged wheels aren't a styling upgrade. That finish is a material specification, and it tells you exactly what kind of engineering brief this truck was built to answer. By the end of this video, you'll understand precisely why the Sierra AT4X Copper Summit exists as a separate entity from every other off-road truck GMC has ever built, and why the engineering team that developed it wasn't working from the standard AT4X brief. There's one technology inside this cabin that the spec sheet lists but doesn't fully explain, and when I walk you through what it actually does, the price tag on this truck starts making a very different kind of sense. Is it worth your money if you're trading in a current Sierra Denali or considering a Ram TRX? My answer is specific, and it's not the one you're expecting. We're covering the Terrain Intelligence platform, a cabin that competes well above its price category, and a powertrain story that deserves more attention than it's getting. And the reason this truck exists at all didn't start with a consumer brief. Here's what stumps me first, and it's not the copper wheel finish, and it's not the AT4X badge. It's the Terrain HMI display, a real-time 3D vehicle model showing pitch, roll, individual tire pressure, altitude, compass heading, and GPS coordinates, all on a single integrated screen is a data architecture decision, not a feature addition. Pulling that many sensor inputs into a single rendered display in real time requires a dedicated processing layer separate from the main infotainment system. That's not a software update. That's hardware investment at the platform level. That's the intelligence platform. Now let's talk about the environment where that data is displayed. Step inside, and the material story varies significantly by trim. And that range tells you something important about who GMC is targeting across the AT4X lineup. At the base AT4X level, you're looking at dark leather throughout. Clean, purposeful, off-road appropriate. Move into the Denali adjacent configuration, and the story shifts substantially. Rich cognac brown leather, with topo-line embossing on the seat inserts, wood-grain door panels running the full length, and white contrast stitching that carries through every seam consistently. That topo-line embossing isn't decorative. The pattern mirrors topographic contour lines, a design language decision that connects the interior aesthetic directly to the truck's intended use environment. That's a level of interior concept coherence you don't typically see at this price point. The infotainment implementation is genuinely worth examining. Google built in, not Android Auto mirrored, but natively integrated Google services running on the vehicle's own hardware means the navigation, voice assistant, and app ecosystem aren't dependent on your phone's connection or processing speed. For anyone who's dealt with CarPlay dropouts on a remote trail where cell signal is marginal, a native system running on vehicle hardware is a real-world improvement, not a marketing distinction. The trailer management screen deserves specific attention. A dedicated checklist display that runs a pre-departure verification of trailer lights, brake controller, and camera status before you leave the driveway is speculative tech number 2 extended into production reality. What I'd call an integrated trailer awareness network. Sensor fusion between the hitch camera, trailer brake module, and lighting circuit monitor that detects wiring faults, load imbalance, and brake actuation before you've pulled 50 feet. For anyone who tows a boat or a fifth wheel on weekends, that's a system that catches problems at the driveway, not at 65 miles per hour on the interstate. Where I think they've missed the mark is the rear-view camera mirror. The concept is sound. A wide-angle camera replacing the standard mirror gives you unobstructed rear visibility regardless of what's in the bed or attached behind you, but the image quality in lower light conditions needs work. At dusk on a dirt road, the standard optical mirror would serve you better. The cabin makes a credible case across every trim level, but there's a piece of the origin story that hasn't been told yet, and it changes how you read the performance platform underneath all of this. Here's what I can tell you about where this program came from. The brief reportedly included a sustained high-speed desert running requirement, not a trail crawl requirement. Think Baja-style operation at speed over distance with full payload. That requirement drove the suspension specification, the powertrain calibration, and the terrain data architecture you've already seen. The performance section is next, and this is where that brief shows up most clearly. Start at the front. That grille carries the copper accent treatment through the horizontal bar structure. Functional air intake area is genuinely large, which matters for sustained high-load cooling in desert operation. The hood vent is real, not a styling element. venting engine bay heat under sustained performance running. Fender flares are bolted, not bonded, accommodating the wider track that comes with the AT4X suspension geometry. Trail damage to a bolted flare is a 20-minute repair. Bonded is a body shop visit. Ground clearance sits at approximately 11 inches on the AT4X platform. Wheelbase runs 147.4 inches on the crew cab short bed configuration, long enough for stability at speed, short enough to be manageable on technical terrain. The copper accent finish runs through the tow hooks, step bars, and lower bumper trim, creating visual coherence that holds up because it's tied to functional hardware, not applied to body panels that could chip or fade. Design makes the promise. The powertrain is where it's kept or broken. Platform baseline: the 6.2-liter L87 V8, 420 horsepower, 460 pound-feet of torque, 10-speed automatic. In the AT4X application, the calibration prioritizes sustained mid-range output over peak numbers. You need consistent torque delivery across a 200-mile desert run, not a dyno-optimized peak figure that fades under heat soak. Speculative tech number 3. Active thermal management for the drivetrain. Dedicated oil coolers for the transfer case and rear differential with electronically controlled flow rates that increase cooling capacity when transmission temperature thresholds are approached during sustained high-speed running. Standard cooling systems are passive or reactively triggered. An active threshold predictive system keeps drivetrain temperatures in the optimal operating window before they spike. Against a Ram TRX, 702 horsepower, but a drivetrain cooling architecture designed around short-duration performance rather than sustained desert operation, the Sierra AT4X with active thermal management delivers a more reliable, sustained speed experience because it was briefed for exactly that scenario. The engineering case is coherent, from the terrain display to the drivetrain cooling. Now let's talk about whether the financial case holds. Now, here's what I actually think, and I want to be completely straightforward with you. The sustained desert running brief isn't a marketing angle. It's the reason the Terrain HMI is hardware integrated rather than software layered, and it's the reason the powertrain calibration looks the way it does. GMC built a truck for a specific operational requirement. The Copper Summit is the consumer version of that truck. Pricing: expect a window sticker between $72,000 and $88,000, depending on trim, configuration, and powertrain package. Context: a Ram TRX runs $82,000 to $95,000 and delivers 282 more horsepower, but a less refined interior at any trim level, no native Google integration, and a performance character tuned for sprint performance rather than sustained operation. A Ford F-150 Raptor R lands around $82,000 with comparable desert credentials, but no integrated terrain data architecture and a cabin that doesn't match the Denali-level specification this AT4X can carry. On depreciation, the AT4X has historically held residual value better than standard Sierra trims because of its genuine mechanical differentiation. The Copper Summit specification adds visual identity that the market responds to. Limited edition appearance packages on capable platforms depreciate as collectibles, not as used trucks. If you're planning a 5-year hold, that's a real number. Here's the call. If you run serious terrain, high-speed desert, sustained off-road, multi-day remote use, and want the most complete factory intelligence platform in the full-size segment right now, this is the strongest American option available. If your off-road use is weekend trails and your priority is peak horsepower, the TRX gives you more drama for similar money. The AT4X earns its price through precision, not spectacle. The sustained desert brief, the predictive grade management, the active thermal architecture. It was never just an off-road package, it was an operational specification. Now you have the full picture. At the open, I said those copper wheels were a material specification. Having walked the full engineering story, they're also a statement of intent. For the right buyer, that intent is backed by everything underneath it. I genuinely like your perspective, especially if you've put serious miles on a previous AT4X or made the comparison against a TRX in the real world. Drop it below. AT4X Copper Summit versus the Ram TRX. That's the next one. If this kind of no-nonsense analysis is what you're here for, subscribe. See you then.